To know about our ministry, you need to know a little bit about our lives. I accepted the Lord when I was 14 years old, and I was a scared, insecure little boy. Jesus saved me, and He changed my life. And I've become a father, and I've become a protector, and I've become a teacher, and I am a pastor, and I am very, 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 very grateful to the Father for allowing me to be called into the ministry. When I was 16 years old, I knew that one day I would be a pastor. And I think this will help some of you, because most of us don't understand a lot of things about the ministry and about God's calling on our lives, and we get that really mixed up and we get confused. God can't tell us everything that's going to happen in our lives, because we wouldn't be able to handle it. We would go tilt. When I was 16, as I said, I heard the Lord speak to my heart and tell me that one day I would pastor. So I had that idea in my mind. I went to Bible school, met Twyla, we married. I studied for 3 years. And I had seen many things. I was young still. And told the Lord, Lord, I'll serve you in any way in the church, but I'm not going to enter into full-time ministry until you specifically speak to me, because I don't want to hurt someone else. I've seen many people hurt by people that didn't have a calling on their lives. After Twyla and I married, I had a secular job. We went back and worked with my parents for farm people. And that was my dream, to be a farmer. But I knew it wasn't what God wanted me to do. I prayed and fasted and asked God for His plan when we went there, and the Lord told me to go again to Bible school, and I didn't want to do that, and I disobeyed the Lord for 5 years. When we followed the Lord and went to school, it was the same place that God had told me before, and that was a hard thing. But while we were there, actually before we went there, God spoke to me. Twyla and I were actively seeking for God's will for our life. And if you want to know God's will for your life, you're going to have to make some effort to know. It's going to be, there's going to be a cost. And so we attended a seminar, 4 teachings during the day and service at night for 6 days, from Monday through Saturday, and we didn't miss one. And the last night in the evening service, God spoke to our hearts. And He told me, Kerry, now with this, I'm calling you into the ministry. And I knew what He meant, because I had told Him that I wouldn't enter unless He told me and called me. And so I saw myself doing things, and I saw people, and they were Hispanic people I didn't recognize at the time. And so I saw myself as being called into the ministry. And I asked the Lord, what is this ministry? And He said, well, you would call it the ministry of an evangelist. And so from there I went and telling everyone, I'm called to be an evangelist. And then I went to the second Bible school that we attended. And I went the first year, and all students in first year studied the same materials. Second year, I was ready to choose the evangelist group. God spoke to my heart and said, no, you choose the pastor's group. I said, Lord, that doesn't make sense. You told me I'd be evangelist. He said, no. I said, you would call it the ministry of an evangelist. So I studied in the pastor's group. Graduated. My wife studied. It was time for us to go out. And I got one call offering me a church. And that was good. I wanted to say yes, and the Lord told me no. Another pastor called. A group of people called and invited me to take another church. And I wanted to say yes, but the answer again was no. And I said, Lord, this doesn't make sense. You speak to my heart at 16, pastoring. You tell me I'm going to be an evangelist. That was my understanding. And then you tell me, pastor, now I'm prepared to be a pastor, and you don't let me pastor. And so during that time, I was seeking the Lord. I went to the island of Grenada, traveled there to help a missionary for a week. It was good, but I knew that wasn't what was for me. I came back home and had a good business that God had blessed us with while we were studying. It was doing well. And I was very, very busy in our church, busy in my business. and Twyla was ready to graduate from school. And an elder in our church kept inviting me to go to Nuevo Laredo, Mexico, to install a landscape in a Bible school. And the first time I said no, I was too busy. The second time I said no, I was too busy. And the third time I said yes, just to get him off my back. And while I was there, my dad and several other men went with me, and we worked in this school and installed a landscape and really made it look pretty. And I got to meet the young students, Mexican young men and women, and God started speaking to my heart. I went home after that, and I knew that that's where I needed to be. And I've always, since one experience in my life where I disobeyed God in a big way, I've always confided in Twyla, and we've always been in agreement when we make big decisions. And one confirmation for me is when I went home and told her that I believed I was called to Mexico, she agreed. And within a year, we had moved to Laredo, Texas, excuse me, and we were getting ready to work as missionaries. The thing that I want you to hear in this is that I was very confused when I heard God speaking to my heart about being a missionary. I said, Lord, this doesn't make any sense. You call me to be a pastor, you call me to be an evangelist, another time a pastor. I keep wanting to go into Spanish. Another time a pastor. And then you call me to be a missionary. And you know what I found? That most of us don't have a clue about what a missionary really is. And so in that, we began our ministry here in Mexico.
I've always been a person, a follower. You show me what to do and I'll do it. And Kerry came home from his missions trip to Mexico and told me that God had called us to Mexico, to minister in Mexico. And I said, okay. I had followed him to the farm. I was a city girl when we got married. I followed him to the farm, and then I followed him to Bible school in another state, and then I followed him to Laredo, Texas. And so when he told me that we were going to work in Mexico, it was like, okay, that's fine, we'll do that. And I always say that God was sneaky in the way that he moved me, because if he had told me in the beginning, living in Aberdeen, South Dakota, as an 18-year-old, that I was going to be a missionary in Mexico, I would have frozen and never accomplished the plan. But God is so smart, he's so wise. And he gave me a good man to follow. It's been easy to follow Kerry. And so we moved to Mexico with our 4 children. And we had planned on homeschooling them, and had seen the bad effects of homeschooling on children, American children in Mexico. And so we were really concerned about our children, and it was really cool how God moved us or put us in a house next door to a person who worked in a bilingual private school, and our children were able to study at that school and learn the culture, associate with children of a different level of the society. And we thought that all of Mexico was poor, and it's not that way. And so it was a good thing. God is a good God, and he's a God of grace. And as I said, he always gives you the grace to do what he calls you to do. And so we moved to Saltillo, and we've lived here, as we said, almost 24 years now.